My name is Voni and I come from Madagascar. So I'm going to talk to you today about my project, Meeting the Challenges of Resources in Malagasy School, through a series of workshops. It is a series of 6 hands-on workshops that will be offered to a maximum of 30 high school teachers from each of the 22 regions in Madagascar. And the workshop will be held in the main city of the region. And so the host of the programs are the English teaching program, which I represent. We used to be a US Embassy program, but we've been privatized recently. So the reason why we decided to host this program is because in the past we always funded. People came to see us, people approached us for funding for a workshop. But then the result, the desired outcomes of the workshops were not really tangible. So this time we are going to prepare and conduct the workshop with the Ministry of Education. Why the Ministry of Education? Because they are in a very good position to offer the logistical support for the workshop. And of course, the US Embassy will co-fund the workshops. So the schedule, these workshops will be offered over a period of 5 months. The first workshop is scheduled in October, and the last one is scheduled by the end of January 2011, that's right. So the main goal of this workshop is then to help participants meet the challenge posed by resources. To give them the skills, to introduce them to the techniques and strategies, to enable them to develop their own skills in designing, implementing, and evaluating activities and materials derived from the resources they have. And this is with a view to enhancing the teaching and the learning of English in Madagascar. So as you can imagine, it's really a challenge. And what we will be doing is then we're going to conduct 6 series of workshops. The first one, so this is the goal, adapt and design activities, tasks based on the resources. So you have an old textbook, a curriculum that always goes under change. You have, on top of everything, a large class size with 45 to 60 students. So that's the situation. And if you are lucky enough, you may get 1 cassette player, okay? How would your students feel? Of course, your students become bored, disruptive, and they get discouraged. And how would you feel? Facing the hostile classes, you get defensive, which makes things worse. And sometimes many of you question whether you are in the right profession. So things need to be done. And here is your job. You have to step in here. Because remember, you have just a textbook, okay? 1 textbook will be shared by 3 teachers, okay? Because they give English lessons not at the same time. So they leave this in the teacher's lounge, and whoever is going to use it has to go to the teacher's lounge. Okay. So, but don't lose hope, okay?
Do we have photocopy capability?
No, you don't. You don't have no photocopies, okay? I'm talking about that's the situation of the average teachers. But if you go to big cities, you might have possibilities to make photocopies. But in the regions, that's why we go to the regions, okay? In the past, we used to organize things in the capital city, but this time we will go to the regions. Because at the same time, we want to reach out as many audiences as possible. So today I'm going to share with you then techniques, strategies that I myself learned, okay, from the e-teacher scholarship program. And at the end of this workshop, I hope you will have the skills in designing, implementing, evaluating activities and materials. So for the purpose of this demonstration, then, of course, normally I should give you a participant survey. but for the purpose of this demonstration, I'm going to assume that all you have is just a textbook, okay? This one, okay? And also the thing that you have to remember is in Madagascar, there is this cultural expectation of teachers stepping into the classroom with a textbook. If you come with other materials, you are not viewed as someone who's going to teach.
Knowledgeable?
You might be knowledgeable, but you are there just to have fun for the students. Because for a Malagasy student, a teacher comes with a textbook. Okay? So this is very important because we learned about knowing your audience. So that's the situation. So you come and then, so I assume you just have a textbook. Now, what's the problem with textbook? If you look very carefully, textbooks have their own limitations and constraints, okay? If you look very carefully, the forms are pre-selected, okay? For example, Unit 1 forms on this. So forms are pre-selected, and the goal is geared towards the form. So you can do, okay, today I'm going to do this, so then I will choose my materials. You can't do that because pre-planned, okay, lessons. And textbook also follow the traditional presentation practice of production pattern. But then again, if you look at the last P, the activities themselves do not really engage the students into the meaningful use of the language. So students themselves do not relate to the tasks. And then that made me choose the task-based approach for the last P, the production phase. So if we refer to Teresa's workshop, then textbook only offers them the declarative knowledge. What is missing is the transition from, because what we want is to achieve, for the students to achieve competency in English. We want to make sure if what they have learned, they can use it in real life situation. So here then I have chosen the task-based approach, okay? And what I like about this is, first of all, I will choose role play. I like role play, and I use role play a lot with my students. First of all, because it requires very few resources. And that meets well with our problems. So we need to develop activities that engage the students and encourage them to use authentic language. But at the same time, because we don't have many resources, we have to integrate the 4 skills. And that makes a choice of the role play. So for the purpose of this demonstration today, I am going to choose tenses. Why the use of tenses? Because remember, there is presentation of the tenses. There were activities for the practice of the tenses. So students understand now at this stage when to use the simple past, when to use the past perfect. But we need to check whether they can use it in real life situation. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to first give them, they are going to work in pairs, and then present continuous, and here they need to choose their partner, okay? And then this tense is used to speak about this, so they have to, this is just to reinforce what they have already learned before, and at the same time to check if they are ready to move on to the next activity. And I'm going to ask you, for example, your goal. Remember, the goal is then you want to check, and I'm going to choose job interview. What I like about job interview is job interview. Of course, all of you are likely to participate in a job interview, okay, in your life, either as an interviewer or as an interviewee. Second, job interview requires a certain flexibility. in our usage of the tense, because you want to get the job. You have to make very good impression. If you want to talk about your education, you have to use the simple past. If you want to talk about what you are doing now, you have to use the present continuous or the simple present if you want to describe your. So that's the point of using this first. And then I'm going to ask you, okay, to work in group of 3. You focus on simple past and write questions that should encourage your students to use the simple past. Okay? Remember, the context is job interview. Okay? For you, present simple. For you, present continuous. And for you, future. So, then you have questions. And what comes next is you're going to work in pairs. And then one student is interviewer, one student is interviewee. And you use the questions. Okay, so describe your responsibilities. That requires the use of simple present. But if your questions are very, very well written, the use of the tenses should come automatically. But if the questions are not well written, then, because here you can't just, at this point you can't correct the errors and the mistakes. You do that after. But make sure that writing the questions is very important, because this is how they use the English in real life. We move from the scripted language in the textbook into real life interaction.